Just one sec, please. All right. So yesterday we briefly discussed that Bhagavad Gita is not an ordinary scripture. This is called as Raj Vidya, or the king of education. Raj Vidya, Raj Guhyam, Pavitram, Idam Uttamam, the most purest knowledge. At the same time, it is the secret of all secrets, the most confidential part of our Vedas, our Vedic literature. And many of the great personalities who have gone through this scripture share a similar view, as I mentioned yesterday, wherein Dr. Abdul Kalam Ajaz talking about that the scripture has a potential to give us a very positive outlook in our life in all circumstances. And our very famous scientist, none other than Einstein, talking about that when he goes through how this entire creation was created through our Vedic literature, everything else seems superfluous, and that should increase our faith in the Almighty God. And similar sentiment shared by Mahatma Gandhi also, that Bhagavad Gita can increase our immunity, or it prepares us, nicely to respond to difficult circumstances in our life, or increases our immunity to tolerate external tragedies. And we also discussed that Bhagavad Gita is a universal science, like 2 plus 2 is 4 in all the countries, because it is a science. Similarly, Gita is a science, and its knowledge can be used by anyone and everyone. Anyone can draw lessons from, irrespective of nationality or caste or creed or age. Anyone can get benefited from this knowledge. I also briefly mentioned that ISKCON has 7 purposes of its existence, and the very first purpose is to systematically propagate this knowledge, largely Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, to society at large, and to educate all people in the techniques of spiritual life. Spiritual life is not, something which is easily available to everyone. And also it has a potential to check the imbalance of values in life and to achieve real unity and peace in the world. I mentioned yesterday, ISKCON is a good example wherein people from all nationalities come and stay together, eat together, dance together without any conflict. But outside, in a normal scenario wherein you have 5 nationalities, they might have a lot of conflicts. But there is some process which unites, there's some knowledge which unites all of them. And we're not talking about a specific community, but about peace in the world, because it is relevant to each and every one. We also briefly discussed yesterday that there are 4 common biological instincts between human beings and animals. Between human beings and animals. What are these? Ahar, Nidra, Bhay, Maithunam Cha, which means eating is a biological instinct. Both human beings and animals need to eat to maintain their body. Sleeping is also important. Sleeping means, making arrangement for our stay, having an apartment, bungalow, or all the facilities to facilitate, the comfortable sleeping. It is required to replenish our energy. Mating is also a biological instinct. Basically, procreation, producing next generation, producing children, again common in children in animals and human beings. At the same time, defending. Defending means protecting oneself or one's family from external uncertainties or external threats. And both animals and human beings have this propensity to protect themselves. They protect themselves through their horns, through their teeth, and we protect ourselves through different assets we create, different properties we create, or different insurance policies we buy. But the propensity is same. How do we protect ourselves out of different levels of different kinds of fears we have due to various uncertainties of future? Now the question is, then what is the difference between animals and human beings? If human generation spend the whole day, the whole year, the whole life only making, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending comfortable, then practically there is no difference between animals and human beings. It's a very important point to be noted. Common sensically we know that human beings have higher level of intelligence. They have relatively higher power for discrimination, to differentiate between what is right and what is wrong. Animals also have intelligence, but that intelligence is only limited to make arrangement for eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. But human beings have higher intelligence. There is a word called as kripana in our scriptures. Kripana means somebody who is a miser or कंजूस जिसे हिंदी में कहते हैं. And who is a miser? Who has unlimited wealth, but he lives his life like a beggar, not really making use of his wealth to live a comfortable, peaceful life, but still living like a beggar. Similarly, human beings who are not utilizing the wealth of higher intelligence which has been benedicted or given to human beings, if they do not utilize it for a higher purpose, they're also like misers or kripanas, not using that wealth of knowledge or intelligence for the purpose it is meant for. So it's very important to understand how is human being superior to animal. Yeah. Not only from the perspective that animals have, sex in, on the street, and human beings have sex inside a closed room. That is not, that doesn't make them superior. Even these days, even human beings have come onto the roads and started having, these gestures. So that doesn't really make them superior. Ahar Nidra, this is a verse from Mahabharata. Ahar Nidra Bhay Maithunam. Ahar means eating, Nidra means sleeping, Bhay means protection from fear, and Maithunam means procreation. Samanyam etat pashubhir naranam. This is common between animals and human beings. Dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesho dharmena hina pashubhir samana. Dharmena hina means without dharma, they are like pashubhi samana. They are like animals. It's a very strong statement, and it's a reality. The human beings are considered superior because they can make higher inquiries. Today, there's a problem of corona in the entire world. It is human beings that are making inquiries. What is the root cause of corona? What could be possible solution for corona? It is not animals. They're still busy eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, isn't it? It is human beings who are working day and night to protect all the patients, working day and night to find out different solutions so that it doesn't spread, because they have an ability to inquire. And the real purpose of human beings or the intelligence is to inquire about God. Why God? And perform the dharma of obeying his laws. Why laws? Loving and serving. Why love him? Why serve him? We'll talk about this a little later. Otherwise, they're considered just like animals. We do not have such kind of seminars for animals, isn't it? Because they will not understand this. This seminar is being done only for human beings because they have the ability to understand, appreciate, and implement. If I call dog here, he'll still keep barking only, nothing beyond that. He will not understand what I'm talking. But you have the ability to understand, contemplate, appreciate, and go back and try to implement what I said. That's why this is high intelligence. Yeah. What making? Making an inquiry about God. There is a Vedanta Sutra, the first Sutra or Vedanta Sutra, which is considered essence of all the scriptures, is Athato Brahma Jigyasa. What does it mean? Athato means therefore. The very first verse starts with therefore. Why therefore? Because you are a human being, therefore Brahma Jigyasa, inquire about the Supreme Lord. That is the first duty of a human being. If one does not inquire about the Supreme Lord who is creating this material world, who is maintaining this material world, who will finally destroy later this material world, then one is not living a purpose of human being, purpose for life. There are so many sufferings in this material world. We all see. Currently also we are suffering due to corona. The question one has to ask is why? Why somebody has to make a world in which one has to suffer by design? Why somebody has to become old? So why somebody has to die of so many diseases? Why somebody has to take birth again? Because this is where we will find the root causes of our suffering. Second is, who is he who created this mysterious world in which there are so many sufferings? And what is the purpose of creating this kind of material world which has so many sufferings? Isn't it? When we go to a doctor, the first thing he does is he diagnoses and finds out what is the root cause of this problem. He'll say, oh, you have viral, no, you have pneumonia, no, you have jaundice. After diagnosis, we go doctor because we suffer. Now, when we suffer fever, when we suffer heart problem, we find out what is the problem. But when you're suffering bigger diseases like old age, diseases, death, we don't inquire at all. That is not intelligence, isn't it? Any intelligent person will consider these problems as abnormal conditions. Not how can one who is getting disease is a normal condition? How one who is getting older and facing so many problems is a normal conditions? No, these are abnormal conditions. And that's why human beings have been given higher intelligence to inquire and find solution and get rid of these problems. What is this material nature and her purpose? ये जो भू जगत है या भौतिक जगत है क्यों बनाया? And then what is the relationship amongst these three? God, living entity, and this material nature. Why these three exist, coexist? What is the purpose? There's a huge purpose behind this. When we go through scriptures, then only we understand the purpose. And hence one has to start with making an inquiry about God. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Jigyasa is a very important word. Jigyasa in someone defines his level of intelligence, isn't it? When, let's say, I finish a lecture and somebody asks questions, that ability to ask question is a reflection of his curiosity to know more and reflects his intelligence, his level of intelligence. So making this inquiry about God, about himself, about this material nature is a reflection of higher intelligence. Dharma eva hato hanti dharmo rakshati rakshita. Dharma protects those who protect it, and those who destroy dharma get destroyed. This is a very important principle. We said dharmena hina pashubhi samana. If one who is not following dharma, he is living a life of an animal. Dvipad, sophisticated, civilized, suited, booted animal. And if one is not protecting dharma, then dharma will not protect him. Therefore, dharma should not be destroyed so that we may not be destroyed as a consequence thereof. Let me show you a bigger picture. I'll share one video. This shows how our life expectancy has come down over the last 4 yugas. From Satya Yuga to Treta Yuga to Dwapar Yuga to Kala Yuga. Let me just share the video. If you don't hear the voice, then please shout, okay? Just hold it, please.
To never miss a video from Knowledge Seeds. Knowledge is power.
Let us first understand the number of years in each Mahayuga and the number of years for each yuga. A Mahayuga is comprising of 4,320,000 Earth years, of which Satyayuga comprised of 1,728,000 Earth years, Treta comprised of 1,296,000, Dwapara Yuga comprised of 864,000 years and Kali Yuga comprised of 432,000 years. So as per calculation, Satya Yuga was 40% of Mahayuga, Treta Yuga was 30%, Dwapara Yuga was 20% and Kali Yuga is only 10%. Going by this theory, the lifespan of the human being also reduced as the yugas passed, and that also affected the average height of the human being. Ancient way of calculating was cubit. A cubit is a unit based on the forearm length from the tip of the middle finger to the bottom of the elbow.
Satya Yuga. Satya Yuga was the era when human beings were in the purest form. People were honest and truthful. There was no religion or caste system. There was no disease or any natural disaster. It is believed that an average human being was alive for 100,000 years. Humans were gigantic, powerfully built, handsome, honest, youthful, vigorous, erudite and virtuous. As the name implies, beings of this age were truthful and free from selfish desires, lust, anger, pride, greed and envy. They lived virtuously and adhered to Dharma. They are believed to have an average height of 21 cubits, which is approximately 31.5 feet. The gateway of India is 26 meters, which is approximately 85 feet. If we compare the height, then the height of a human from that yuga would be 1/3 of the structure.
Treta Yuga. Treta Yuga, which was the age of virtue and wisdom. Wars became frequent. Weather began to change. Oceans and deserts were formed. The average human lifespan was 10,000 years. Beings in this age still retained much of their purity and divine qualities and could enter the subtle worlds to communicate with gods. At the same time, due to the presence of impurities, they lost awareness of their bliss bodies, which subjected beings to suffering and delusion. They are believed to have an average height of 14 cubits, which is approximately 21 feet. Comparing with the gateway of India, the human would have been 1/4.
Dwapara Yuga. Dwapara Yuga was the age in which humans developed both divine and demonic qualities. Diseases were more rampant and the Vedas were divided into 4 parts. In Dwapara Yuga, human believed to have lived for 1,000 years. Human became susceptible to emotions, feelings, egoism, delusion, pride and selfishness. Beings were still virtuous, but had their own weaknesses. The average height of human was believed to be 7 cubits, which is approximately 10.5 feet. They were just 1/8 of Gateway of India.
Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga, or the age of gross materialism. People became sinners and lack virtue. Knowledge is lost and scriptures diminished. Human eat forbidden and dirty food and engage in unrestrained sinful sexual practices. Human in this yuga has an average lifespan of 100 years. We can see that in today's world most people are obsessed with their bodies, looks, names and forms, while they are motivated by sexual desires, worldly possessions and sense gratification. People became sinners and lack virtue. Average height in this yuga is 3.5 cubits, which is approximately 5.25 feet. We are just 1/16th of the gateway of India.
Robert Pershing Wadlow, famously known as Giant of Illinois, from United States of America, is the tallest man known. If we compare his height to Gateway of India, he would have been 1/10th of the total height. He was 5.94 cubits or 8.92 feet. If we compare the height of human from different yugas, we see a gradual decline in the average age of human and also the average height of the human.
So you saw how we have fallen down in the last 4 yugas. Let me just. Satya Yuga age was 1 lakh years. Height was 30 plus feet. Treta Yuga age was 10,000 years. Height was around 20 feet. Dwapar Yuga 1,000 years was the age. Height was more than 10 feet. And now Kali Yuga, where we feel we have done so much of advancement. We are developed countries, we are developing countries, and our age is falling down even below 100 years. Height of around 5 feet. Now, what is this advancement? And why this fall down? Because from Satyuga to Kali Yuga, what is falling down? Dharma is falling down. We are destroying Dharma, and Dharma in return is destroying us. Or decline in Dharma means increase in animal propensities. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. The entire focus of today's generation is these 4 things: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And that video mentioned, Kali Yuga is the age of gross materialism. Knowledge of scriptures is lost. People get obsessed with their bodies, with their looks, intense sexual desires. So these are the characteristics of Kali Yuga, and hence people are more adharmic than dharmic. And dharmena hina pashubhi samana. So without dharma, one lives a life of like a life of animals. So this is our real, not progress, but a fall down. So one has to inquire about who is God, why I'm suffering. And as we discussed yesterday, for any problem to be a real problem, it has to meet 3 conditions. That this problem is common to all. Whether you are Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, European, American, everybody faces this problem. And none of them want it, but none of them can escape from these problems. These are real problems, for which one has to find solution. We discussed birth, death, old age, and disease. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, Dukkha, Dosha, Anudarshanam. Gita says in 13th chapter, 8 number verse, he says, without exception, one has to face these problems. Once Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, when he went to US to preach Krishna consciousness, he went to one university and he was challenged saying, we are a rich country. Somebody in US, he is telling Prabhupada, we are a rich country. You come from a poor country, India. What have you come to give us? What are you going to give us? You belong to a poor country. We already are a developed nation. We are a rich country. Prabhupada said, that's fine. But there is one thing which is common in both the countries, whether it is India or US. What is that? both have 100% death rate, isn't it? Let me see if somebody is sending a message. Sorry, I can't see messages in between. Dinesh Prabhu, please have a look at the message in case something I need to do from here. Okay. So, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi. No one wants any disease. Disease means one who puts one at not at ease is disease. Yeah. And variety of disease are going up significantly. Old age, no one wants. And one who is facing, who is 40 plus, they know. Sorry. What happened? Can I see the previous slide? Okay, I'm sorry. Just hold on. Somehow during the slideshow, I can't see messages. You want to see this one or this one? Okay. Yeah. And death, I'm sure no one wants it. Everybody is scared of this. You know, when one leaves his body, he goes through a pain equivalent to 42,000 scorpions biting at the same time. That is the kind of pain one goes through. Because of his attachments, like suppose you buy a new car, new Mercedes, you go out along with the family, somebody comes and bangs into your car. How much pain you will feel? Your pain is directly proportional to the attachment you have with the car, isn't it? Your pain is directly proportional to the attachment you have with the car. The more you attach, more pain you will feel. Similarly, based on our attachments to this material world, to various things, to possessions, to family, we feel the pain when we leave the body. And Shastras say it is equivalent to 42,000 scorpions biting at the same time. So these are the real problems. And birth also, we say happy birthday to you. Birth is the root cause of these three more problems: disease, death, and old age, isn't it? The moment one is born, disease is also born, old age is also born, and death is also born. Yeah. So we have to look at these problems from the lens of scriptures and see if there is a solution to these problems. And apart from these four, there were three more we talked about. One is given by our own body and mind, like depression, stress, or our bodily ailments, bodily problems. By other living entities, by your boss, by your wife, by your mother-in-law, father-in-law, brother, sister, your friends, even a mosquito. This is called Adi Bhautika Klesh. Klesh means what? Which disturbs your mind, given by other living entities. And the natural disasters are falling in the category of Adi Devika Klesh, or given by demigods, when we do not follow laws of nature. For example, Corona, I showed one video yesterday, is a wonderful reflection of our own karmas. The way we have been living our life as a society, as a community, as a country, or as a entire world. Corona is just a simple reaction of those karmas. Many more to come. We should get ready, or we should mind our acts to avoid these kind of calamities. America, which is considered to be the most developed country, and we call America a superpower, and how US is topping the list of corona patients in terms of deaths, in terms of number of patients getting impacted. They're feeling helpless. Superpower is feeling helpless, completely out of control. If you look at their parameters, both physically and mentally, they're suffering. As I mentioned yesterday, 2/3 of the population is obese. Crime rate has gone more than 10 times. Your suicide rates are going up, divorce rates are going up, relationships are not, healthy. So what is this development for? If a development does not guarantee happiness, if development does not guarantee a relationship, if development does not guarantee higher age, if development does not guarantee peace of mind, what is the objective of this development? Isn't it? We must ask these questions to ourselves. Why? What is the root cause of this? Look at this verse. Patang matang kurang bhiranga min hata panch bhirev pancha eka pramadi sakatam nahanyate ya sevate pancha bhi eva pancha. There are descriptions of 5 animals here: deer, elephant, moth, bee, and fish. These 5 meet their end when they are attached to a sense object. Attachment to just one sense object causes a lot of trouble. What about a person, a human being, who has 5 powerful sense organs operating at the same time? Let me explain example of a moth. Moth is attracted by fire, isn't it? By the light of fire. Moth gets attracted to the light of fire. It goes near the fire. Moth is feeling hot, but still that attraction is overpowering and is still moving towards the fire. Feeling hot, still moving towards closer to the fire. To the extent that finally that moth is consumed by the fire, but it cannot control his attachment to the light of the fire. This is called sense gratification. This only one sense becomes responsible for the end of a moth. Similarly, there are 4 more examples. I will not explain now. The point we made here is a human being is struggling with 5 senses like this. Sometimes a sense is, forcing us to go and watch cinema. One sense is forcing us to go out and have some nice food. Like this, all the 5 senses working at the same time and making mad of a person. And what is the result of America? Because they're involved grossly in all the 5 senses gratification, their life expectancy is going down. Excessive sense gratification reduces our lifespan. From Satyuga, 1 lakh years, to Kali Yuga, 100 years. Simply because of this reason, because we are more and more involved in gross materialism. Conclusion is, any amount of material progress, any amount, cannot eliminate these sufferings. Rather, they add to the sufferings. This is the conclusion of scriptures. In Bhagavad Gita, there is a verse which states, any material sense gratification, the joy you get out of material sense gratification, feels like nectar in the beginning and ends like a poison. Anything you take, in the beginning, it is like nectar. You buy a new mobile, it is like nectar. You enjoy so much, new mobile, so many features. After a year, new model comes, your friends have a better mobile. The same mobile becomes a cause of distress. And you want to get rid of that mobile and buy another one. Beginning, nectar, and misery or poison. And that is the nature of any material sense gratification. You name it, you will have the same swabhava, same nature. And these gratification with this kind of nature are not capable of eliminating our suffering. Rather, they add to our sufferings. Our environment is in mess. Our relationships are in mess. Our mental peace is in mess. And we claim we are advancing. Why? Because we do not see through the eyes of scriptures. We are living a very unnatural life. As I mentioned yesterday, we are like fish out of water. Like fish has to be peaceful, fish has to go inside the water in its natural conditions. So we also have to find what is that water equivalent natural condition for a living entity to be peaceful always. And finding that state is called self-realization or self-discovery. So we are going to discover what is our natural state, like water for fish, and not really depend upon material progress or material objects for our peace of mind or happiness. We completely get, isolated, or not isolated, complete independent of our material opulence to become happy. It's not that if I have so much of money, then only I'll feel happy. If I have, 5 BHK apartment, then only I'll feel happy. If I have this big car, then only I'll feel happy. No. Happiness is completely internal phenomena, not external phenomena. If that was not the case, the most richest person would have been the most happiest person. That is not the case. There was an interview going on of the third world's richest person on a television. After all the business questions, the gentleman was asked a question by the reporter. If God were to appear right now in front of you in the studio, what will you ask him? Let me repeat. The world's third biggest, richest person is being asked a question on a television show. If God appears in front of you right now, what will be your question to him? What will you ask him? And he said, I will ask him little bit of happiness. Even, he is being eluded of happiness. Third richest person. What to talk of you and me? So our objective of life is to live a natural life, which is in harmony with laws of God, laws of nature. Then we are peaceful. So animals inquire about eating, sleeping, mating, fearing, and humans have to inquire about life, death, and even beyond death. Even beyond death. When a child takes admission in the school, he does not take admission in the school to remain in the school. He is studying in the school so that he gets admission in a better college when he leaves the school. Similarly, when we get this body, we don't get this body to remain in this body. We get this body so that we get better body in the next life. If a child is worried about his after school life, why we are not worried about after this body life? We are not strategic at all. In our business, we may be strategic. We think 10 years, 20 years, but in our life, we are not strategic at all. We just worry about khao piyo ash karo. No worry what is going to happen after this life. No, one has to worry about this life and afterlife. And Gita throws light on this, how to worry and what happens after life. So human beings who have higher intelligence, they have to find out the root causes of sufferings. They must inquire what is the purpose of life and live a life which is harmonized or in harmony with God and nature. And then one can live a very peaceful, eternal happiness. Otherwise, it's not possible. Material pursuit will not help us. The next question is, who has made such a material world which has by design sufferings, and why? We must find out and ask that person why you have created painful stages like old age, death. God is, treated like a father, supreme father. Why will father create a world in which his children suffer like this? Isn't it? So you must ask this question when we find out who is that person. Why? What is the purpose of this material world? All this has been created by a chance. There was a Big Bang theory which is being taught to our innocent children, that this entire material world came by chance. There was a big bang, high temperature, and there were some reactions of chemicals, and this entire material world got created. And we are teaching this nonsense to our children in the schools. So let's see, how do we define God? let me ask all of you. You'll see one poll in front of you. How many of you believe in the existence of God? Yeah, and there is one answer called yes, one no, one not sure. Okay, let me see how many of you believe, not believe, or not sure. I am doing it first time and it looks very interesting. I'll share the results with you. Still 20 odd people have to vote. Give your honest opinion. Still 12 people yet to vote. I hope they're not sleeping. Hmm? Yes. Okay, few more yet to go. Okay. Around 85% say yes, we believe in God. Around 5% say no, and around 10% are not sure. Yeah. There was a saint who came to one village, and he was in the outskirts of the village. So all the villagers, they decided they will request this saint to come and give us a spiritual lecture. So they went to him, some of them, they requested him. He came. He asked one question to everyone. How many of you believe in God, in the existence of God? Nobody raised hand. He said, none of you believe, all of you are atheist. Sab Nastik hai. There is no point giving any lecture here. So he went back. He did not give a lecture. And these villagers got together again went to him. Yeah, and they, told all the people, whenever the saint asked this question, everybody should raise hand. Yes, we all believe. So again called the saint. Saint came. And he asked this question again. How many of you believe in God? Everybody raised hand. He said, anyway, you all believe in God. Where is the point giving lecture? He went back again without giving lecture. The villagers again got together. And then they decided half of us will raise hand, half of us will not raise hand when he asked this question. So saint was called again to give a lecture. He asked this question again. How many of you believe in God? Half of them raised hand, half of them did not raise hand. This is wow, 50% believe, 50% doesn't believe. So those believe, please convince the rest of 50%. He again did not give lecture and went ahead. Why people are again raising hands? Yes. Why raising hand? Alpana Mataji, where are you? Any query so far? Nothing, no? Okay. Sorry. So saint went back again. Actually, that is the situation with most of us. We are very tentative when it comes to God. We are not sure कि वाकई में भगवान है या नहीं है. Even if we believe, we don't know where does he stay. We can't systematically, scientifically prove, yes, God does exist. There was one person who was non-believer in the God, and he opened a big showroom. He never believed, but when he opened a showroom, he called one Brahmana and put one picture of Ganeshji and Lakshmiji and asked him to do some puja. So he was asking, you don't believe in God, why are you doing all of this? वो बोला यार इतना खर्चा किया है शोरूम पे, मान लो कि भगवान है, कम से कम प्रसन्न तो रहेगा. And he will not create any problem for me when I open my showroom. So people may believe out of fear. People may believe out of, bhed chal. A lot of people believe. But hand on heart, we are not very sure God does exist or God does not exist. Or even if we believe, we do not know much about this God. Or we have a lot of confusion, who is God? A lot of people, a lot of human beings claim they are God. If you have some fan following, a couple of lakhs of people, you start believing you're God and you tell others you're God, you're believed to be God. There are many saints like this who claim to be God. You show some miracle, you claim you're God, people believe. So the subject of God is a very, very, what should I say, confusing currently. Somebody will say निराकारी है, भगवान का आकार नहीं है. Somebody will say यहाँ है, वहाँ है. Somebody will say मेरा भगवान ये, मेरा भगवान ये, मेरा भगवान ये. Not much clarity on the subject. And the purpose of human life is to understand who is God. So how can one fulfill the purpose of his life without having clarity on who is he, who is God, and what is his material nature, and how do we deliver the purpose of life? So which means most of the people are living a purposeless life because they don't have much clarity on the subject. Is God an individual perception? Can everybody, have his own God? This person, this father is chanting, Hey Ma, Hey Ma, Hey Ma. He's remembering Durga Ma. For him, Durga Ma is goddess. And his son is also chanting Hey Ma, Hey Ma. But he is not chanting Hey Ma, Durga Ma. He is chanting Hema Malini. Hey Ma, Hey Ma, Hey Ma. Yeah, both have different perception of who is God for him. And even to the extent people treat Sachin Tendulkar as God. I have heard people worship him, worship Shah Rukh Khan. For them, he is God. So God has become a very cheap word these days. So it is the duty of every human being to understand and get clarity on the subject. Then only one will find out what is the purpose of his life. Forget about delivering the purpose. That comes later. Let's try to understand who is God. For every urge, there is a fulfillment provided in this material world. When you feel thirsty, you have water to fulfill or quench that thirst. When you feel hungry, there is variety of food to fulfill that urge of hunger. Because we all have genitals, we also have an urge of, having sex. For that also there's an arrangement in this material world. And when somebody is in difficulty, problem, difficult time in his life, There is a natural urge to raise your hands and pray to somebody, some supreme power. That is natural, isn't it? Natural. A few days back, I saw a picture of this Italian Prime Minister crying and making a statement, now only God can save us. Isn't it? Natural, because going through a very difficult time. So during difficult time, there's a natural urge to take help from supreme power. And this is not religion specific, it is across all religions. So some supreme power does exist. If somebody says, I don't believe in God, simply by he not believing, God will not cease to exist. God still exists. Only he is ignorant. If he says he does not believe in God. It's a common phenomenon in all the so-called religions across the world. Their postures might be different, their prayers might be different, but they all seek support, help from one supreme entity, which somebody may call Allah, somebody may call, Bhagavan, somebody may call some whatever. But they do seek out some support from that supreme entity whenever they are in trouble. So there is an arrangement to fulfill that urge of fear in this material world. Let's see. These are some pictures, done by some very famous artists. When you see any art, it implies there's an artist who created this art, isn't it? These are some just pictures of mountain, some waterfalls, some flowers. What about this actual field, actual mountain, actual water, actual waterfall, actual flowers with fragrances, with variety of colors? Will there not be any artist who created this wonderful art? When you go to a flower garden, you see so many beautiful flowers. When you see a butterfly, you're amazed how God created this texture on the butterfly, isn't it? From where this fragrance comes, nectar comes in a flower. For a simple picture, we tend to believe there's an artist, but for a wonderful, nature, we don't believe there's an artist behind this. It is foolish not to believe. Likewise, we see wonderful things created by man. We see a car, a Honda City, different varieties of cars. It means somebody has manufactured. Ford, Honda City, they are companies who are manufacturing these cars. Trendy computers, somebody is assembling them. Elegant watches, somebody is designing them, isn't it? They don't come by chance. When you see a watch on the seashore, you don't make an assumption because these waves are hitting the seashore and out of some reaction, this watch is created. No, that watch has come by chance. No, somebody has designed it, somebody has manufactured it, somebody has transported it, and somebody had bought it, and hence he's wearing a watch. So there is a personification for every act behind this watch. It is not by chance. Skyscrapers, somebody has built these skyscrapers, beautiful skyscrapers. Wonderful sculptures, somebody has carved them. So there is a person behind everything we just saw. Shouldn't this universe have a super intelligent creator too? We have not even seen, we are not even taken a glimpse of how this universe looks like. It's so wonderful. So wonderful. You see this small seed, this is seed of a sequoia tree, just 1.5 centimeter long. 1.5 centimeter long seed, and from this seed comes 300 feet long tree. What an amazing design. That entire tree was compacted in a 1.5 centimeter long, a seed. Not only this, there is no pump to transport water from roots to the topmost of the tree. It works automatically. No pump required. See, we don't contemplate when we see these things. These are wonderful creations. Simply by contemplation, one will start believing in God. Yeah? You don't require much evidence. Simply contemplate on what you see around. This tree is as high as Statue of Liberty, 300 feet long. Can you imagine? Coming out of 1.5 centimeter long seed. The human brain can store more information than all the libraries in the world. Just imagine the capacity of one human brain to store more information than all the libraries in the world. There are millions of chromosomes in a body. Each chromosome can store data worth, I don't know, I can't even quantify. What a wonderful creation. How can we say there's no creator behind these creations? Satellite. Whenever we launch a satellite, we have a very comprehensive monitoring mechanism. One satellite, we monitor 24 hours, and there are so many control panels to control orientation, to control spin, to control velocity, to control heat dissipation, orbit decay, cosmic radiation. So many people controlling one satellite. What about this Earth? 6 into 10 to the power 21 metric tons and moving at a speed of 106,000 kilometers per hour. Just imagine what kind of control mechanism would be in place to manage this Earth. Just imagine moving at a speed of 1 lakh kilometers per hour, and look at the weight of the Earth, and not even a millimeter here and there. So perfect. So is there somebody who's controlling this or no, or just happening automatically? Yes, somebody is controlling, and control implies there is some controller. Yeah. Look at the sun. You know the size of sun? 1.3 million Earths can fit inside the sun. 1 million Earths can fit inside the sun. That is the size of sun. In 1 second, our sun produces enough energy to meet the current needs of the entire Earth for 5 lakh years. So what is the capacity of sun? These are wonderful designs, wonderful creations, but we never contemplate upon. And design implies designer. There's some designer, there's some controller, there's some creator behind all of these. We have so many laws. Indian law says keep your car towards left. American law says keep your car towards right. Without laws, these cities, this entire system cannot work. To manage one Udaipur, we have so many laws, so many traffic laws, so many tax law, this law, that law. Yeah, similarly, we have so many physical law, chemistry law, thermodynamics law, well-defined laws. That's why everything is functioning perfectly. And through these astronomical calculation, you can even predict what is going to happen with such perfection. When will sun rise after 100 years? You can predict today. Just imagine the perfection of these laws. They are not by chance. There's somebody who is creating. Laws implies lawmaker. Yeah. Suppose in Udaipur, one day there is no traffic light working, all the constables have gone for strike. What will happen? There will be a chaos in Udaipur city. Yes or no? Just one day, maybe half an hour. If there's no policeman, no traffic light working, cities like Mumbai will go into chaos. Just imagine if law of gravity fails for a few seconds, what will happen? If law of gravity fails for a few seconds, what will happen? Can you imagine? You all will be hanging in air. Few seconds only, but never fails. Such perfect laws. Suppose if Earth moves an inch closer to the sun, what will happen? We all will burn immediately. So sun is moving in a perfect orbit, not even iota of a millimeter here and there. And we saw the size of sun, the speed, 1 lakh kilometers per hour, but perfect. So who has created, these planets, these laws, which are perfect? Nobody can find fault in them. But our laws are not perfect. Laws made by human beings are not perfect. but God makes laws which are beyond perfection. Who decides who becomes beautiful, who becomes ugly, who becomes handsome, who becomes fat, who becomes a rich person, who becomes poor person, who becomes doctor, who becomes a labor class person? Who decides? Who has made this law? This law of karma, isn't it? Law of karma is the reason behind so much of variety in this material world. And law employs lawmaker. So there is a lawmaker, there's a creator, there's a designer who is working behind this wonderful creation. And we say we don't believe in God. Let's hear the views from some scientists. Einstein, he says there is a perfect brain behind all the natural physical laws. Perfect brain. A scientist is saying, a scientist of the repute of Einstein. Once Newton had a friend. He was an atheist, did not believe in God. He came once in the morning to meet Newton, and he saw a small model of all these planets, solar system. You can see in the picture, something like this. So he asked Newton, hey, from where this came? I didn't see it yesterday. So Newton said, it just came by chance. I slept in the night, it was not there. Morning when I came, it was there. Came by chance. So his atheist friend said, how it is possible by chance? How can this model came by chance? Then Newton told him, if this solar system model cannot come by chance, how can actual solar system come by chance? So he taught his friend and convinced him that God does exist. This most beautiful system of suns, planets, and comets only proceed from the counsel and dominion of an intelligent and powerful being. This being governs all things not as the soul of the world, but as a Lord over all. On account of his dominion, he is to be called as Lord God, universal ruler. Newton. He's our own person, Ramanujan. An equation for me has no meaning unless it represents a thought of the God. So these people have very deep level of faith in the existence of God. Okay, another polling time. Okay, what is the origin of universe? Big Bang, Big Bang, intelligent design, or by chance? Okay, let me ask all of you. I am enjoying this process of polling. What is the origin of the universe? Multiple choice. And what is the second question I'll show later. First, you answer the first one. What is the origin of the universe? Big Bang, A, B, C, or D? Have you got the poll or no in front of you? No, just hold on. Let me try again. Oh, everybody answered now. Okay, you're answering. Very good. Can you see? I can see some people answering. Don't answer second one. I'll show the options first, then you answer. Answer the first one only. What is the origin of universe? Yes, others? Please answer in the poll, not in the chat box. I can see some people answering, but not others. Why so? Not showing, is it? Some people have done. Okay, let me try again. Just hold on. Okay. Relaunch polling. I'm trying once again. Huh? Okay. Now can you see? I've launched this poll once again. Okay, please answer. Somehow this is not working or what? Not everybody is getting the poll, I think. Okay, so I'll not waste time on this then. Okay, leave it. I'll not waste time. So the origin of universe is intelligent design, not Big Bang, not Big Bang, or not by chance. Okay. And the second question was, what is its purpose? Yeah. Eat, sleep, and be merry, which most of the people think. The purpose of this material word is simply enjoy. That is not the answer. Kabhi khushi, kabhi gum. No, no purpose. D is the answer. To understand God and life and the purpose of life. Okay. I'll go ahead because we're getting late. Have you ever seen a complicated machine which came by chance and has no purpose? No. Any machine we buy, even at home, in the factory, it doesn't come by chance. Somebody manufactures them, somebody assembles them, somebody gives a manual along with the machine, and it has a specific purpose to be achieved. Yeah. Okay. So nothing comes by chance. There is a manufacturer and everything has a purpose to achieve. Okay. This big brain or Big Bang theory, according to Big Bang theory, everything began from a point of infinite temperature, infinite density, infinitesimal size that is physically indescribable, mathematically unverifiable, beyond all conceptions of space and time. And this theory got Nobel Prize. This is the state of our, intelligence. Nothing can be verified, nothing can be described. Still, it becomes a part of our curriculum, and we're teaching our children about Big Bang theory. We should teach our children Vedas, which will give us perfect understanding of how this creation has come into existence. Wonderful explanation how this creation happened. Yeah, but somehow everybody doesn't have access to, these scriptures. Okay, so let's just compare a national government and a universal government. Yeah, home ministry is to maintain law and order. Similarly, There are laws. If somebody obeys those laws, they are rewarded. Somebody goes against the laws, they suffer. Yeah. Supplying medicines, there are Ayurvedic herbs given by nature. Ministry of Energy in our universal or home ministry, sorry, national government, similarly sun and moon provide all the heat and light which is required for the entire universe. Finance ministry, gold, silver, navratnas, diamonds, they come through nature. Defense ministry, ozone sphere, immunity in the body, and various other protection mechanisms. Education ministry, all the Vedas, Bible, Quran, different scriptures which have appeared on different times for different target audience. Yeah. So like this, there's a national government, there is a universal government who is controlling, creating, maintaining this entire universe. And they also have different cabinet ministers, like we have cabinet ministers in our national government. Behind every government, there is a prime minister. Behind universal government, there is God. Prime minister maintains and controls the country. God maintains and controls the whole universe. Government law abiders live happily, and government law breakers are punished. Similarly, God's law abiders live prosperously, and God's law breakers suffer. Yeah, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, proven by the seen. The unseen is proven by the seen. Mataha parataram nanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya mai sarvam idam protam sutre mani gana iva. He says, O Arjuna, everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a necklace. You can see only pearls, you can see only creation, but you can't see the thread on which all the pearls are resting. You can't see God, which is actually behind everything, creation, maintenance, or even annihilation. Yeah. So everything we can't see and believe. Some things we have to see and believe, that in terms of who is the cause behind all these, this entire existence. Definition of God. Maybe last couple of slides only. Who can claim to be a God? If tomorrow anyone claims in front of you, please, ask him to prove these 4 things. Then he can be called as a God. 1, God is the cause of all causes. He is Sarva Karan Karanam. He is the ultimate source of everything that exists. For me, my father is the cause. For him, his father is the cause. For him, his father is the cause. Like this, if we keep going on and we reach a person who has no cause, he is the Supreme Lord. He is the God. Some people, sometimes people ask this question, who came first? Egg came first, anda pehle aaya ya murgi pehle aayi? Murgi se anda ya anda se murgi aayi? Who came first? Hen and egg. For both, God is the cause. Both came from the same person. Yeah. So one who has no further cause can be called as God. So he's a cause of all causes. Sarva Karan Karanam. Supreme controller. We all claim to be controllers in our individual capacities, isn't it? Somebody is controlling a country, somebody is controlling a state, somebody is controlling a city, somebody is controlling a family. Actually, we can't even control our body. Forget about controlling somebody else. If I have a nature call, I just can't sit here. I have to rush, isn't it? I heard somebody yesterday couldn't control and he went into bathroom while watching this, lecture. I got to know in the morning. You can't control. You can't control your hair from getting gray. You can't control your skin from getting rough. You can't control your child, especially these days. So we have practically no control. There's only one controller. हम कहते हैं ना कि जिसकी इच्छा के बिना एक घास का तिनका भी नहीं हिल सकता है. Bhagavatam says if God moves his eyebrow, the entire universe can finish in 1 second. That is the level of control God has. Supreme proprietor. He only can claim everything belongs to him. But we also claim this property is mine, this shop is mine, this flat is mine, this car is mine. Isn't it? After 10 years, somebody else will claim for the same flat I'm living in. This flat is mine. After 20 years, somebody else will claim this is mine. Ownership is changing because nobody is a permanent owner. There's only one supreme controller, one supreme proprietor, and one supreme enjoyer. Who controls, who has the property, he is the only enjoyer. So I'm not discussing very in detail this subject, but on a very macro level, God is a person who is the source of ultimate source of everything that exists, cause of all causes. He is a supreme controller. Nothing happens. When 12 o'clock I was trying to log in and Zoom was not working, it reminded me that I am not the controller. Half an hour I've been trying to log in, not working. Somebody else doesn't want for some reason. So these instances remind us, Corona is reminding everybody that we have no control. Isn't it? Every trying his level best. Supreme proprietor, he is the only one owner, and hence he is the only enjoyer of everything which happens in the entire material world. This is the definition of God. But how do we access to this knowledge and find out, who is this person? Yeah. That we will see tomorrow. Let me see if I have that slide. Yes. That we'll see tomorrow in terms of how do we acquire knowledge through different sources about this person, who is this God, why there are so many scriptures available, why so many people claim different gods. Yeah, so we'll throw some light on this very, very important subject tomorrow. Okay, so that's it for now. Thank you very much for your patience. Once again, my sincere apologies for starting late, half an hour late, and all of you had to wait for half an hour. It's now 2:26. We are late by almost an hour. So my sincere apologies. If you have any question, I'm not sure how you entered your question. Have you put into the form or you're writing here? How am I supposed to answer these questions? Was it meaningful, today's lecture? Just raise your hand. I'll get some assurance. Was it meaningful? Please raise your hand. Okay. 7 participants. Okay. Tell me, what questions do you have? Okay, the poll results are out. 80% people said C. Correct answer. 13% still believe Big Bang Theory. Okay. Why a person affected by karma of others? No, everybody is affected by his own karmas. How do we know we are getting affected by others' karma? We don't even know what has happened in our past, what happened in our previous births. We have no idea. So how can we say that we are suffering for karmas of others? No, everybody suffers for his own karmas. They're all linked. They're all linked. Dhritarashtra, he asked a question to Krishna, why you killed all my 100 sons? Why I had to suffer like this? All my 100 sons got killed. So Krishna reminded him, because Dhritarashtra had forgotten, that in one of the lifetimes, in one of the births, you killed 100 children of a bird. And hence you had to suffer this. Dhritarashtra is not able to find out any reason why I should suffer. I am the king of, this kingdom. I have 100 sons. Why all 100 should get killed? So Krishna reminded him that you killed 100 children of a bird and hence you have to suffer. Then Dhritarashtra asked another question, but why I had to wait so much? I waited so much and then you gave me the suffering. So Krishna said, first you had to produce 100 sons. To produce a son, you have to do a lot of pious karmas. First, you have to deserve 100 sons, then these 100 sons will get killed. So we cannot understand how complex these karmas are. We cannot pinpoint that this is the reason for my suffering. Very difficult. Karmo Gehena Gati, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. You can't make out. So the best thing is to learn how to perform karma so that it does not entangle me. For that, you have to read Bhagavad Gita. This is the real art of living, the art of performing karma. So that karma is done, but there is no reaction for that karma. In technically, this language, this is called akarma. Yeah, but I can't explain this right now, short of time. Okay, second question. As we have material world, what will accountant do? What will the carpenter do if has to not resume and create something out of wood? A chef work then. So karma will take a back seat. But I understand one thing in the last 3 years, that right karma is definitely important. So no one is saying don't perform karma. Yeah. Krishna did not tell Arjuna, you leave the battlefield and go. Did he say you stop fighting? So Krishna is not telling you you stop cooking as a chef. Krishna is not telling you you stop making tables and chairs as a carpenter. No. Krishna is saying do all of this in the consciousness which I suggest in Bhagavad Gita. So that you do this karma, but there is no reaction. That art we have to learn from Bhagavad Gita. And hopefully I will touch upon this, in the last couple of sessions. Okay. How to perform karma, same karma, as a chef of cooking, as a carpenter, as a doctor, but not getting entangled with the reaction of that karma. That is an art we have to learn from Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So Vimalji, I'll explain that maybe in the last couple of sessions. Okay. Why we feel bad if someone treats us badly? Because we have false ego. That's why we feel bad. Isn't it? We think we are great. Our pride is highly inflated. So someone says few words, we feel, we are hurt, we feel bad. If we are humble, we will not feel bad. So this is a journey from pride to humility. From false pride to humility. A humble person does not feel bad. A person who is too proud of his talent, he will feel bad. The journey we have to learn. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter, what is real knowledge? Amanitvam, adambitvam, humility, tolerance, self-control. This is real knowledge. But on the contrary, today we are proud, we are greedy, we are lusty, we are envious, and hence we feel bad. Okay, otherwise there's no reason to feel bad. There are so many people in this world, some cause harm to another good people, fears from them. How can we save from such type of people? If they kill us, it is also a karma. Sorry, I didn't understand. There are so many people in this world which cause harm to another good people. They may be good people in this life. They're getting harmed because they did something wrong in the previous life. Nothing happens without a reason. Always remember, nothing happens without a reason. For every karma, there is a record which is being maintained. And we can hide, we can violate, laws in the national government and get away. आप ट्रैफिक लाइट क्रॉस कर दीजिए, हो सकता है कांस्टेबल आपको देखे नहीं और आप बच जाएं. But from cosmic laws, you cannot escape. There was one, Guru. Gurukul May, he sent some of his students. He gave them one mango each and told them, you go and eat at a place where no one can see you. Where no one can see you. So they all went different places. One went inside a pipe and ate. Nobody is watching me. One went inside the toilet, that nobody is watching me. I can eat here. One switched off light of his room. Now I'm sitting in dark. No one is watching me. So all of them came back to the Guru And Guru asked, tell me, where did you eat? So everybody said, I ate in the pipe, I ate in the toilet. But one student said, I could not eat. Why I could not eat? Because I could not find any place where God is not watching me. Where God is not watching me. So from the cosmic laws, if you violate, you cannot get away. National laws we can get away because imperfect human beings. But the creation of God is very perfect. Everything is getting recorded. Anything happens with me, there's a reason, and I am responsible. Nobody else is responsible. Person who is causing harm to you, he's like a messenger. Yeah. For example, you get a your doorbell rings. A courier person comes. He gives you a bad news. Oh, so Falana and Falana relative has died. Right? Now he has only communicated, isn't it? He is not responsible for death. Similarly, person who causes harm to us, he is only a messenger. We are getting harmed for our own karmas in a previous life. That is the perspective we need to build upon. Then your karma cycle is over. Otherwise, we keep getting entangled. We are discussing about this, I think, on the 4th day, law of karma. Why bad things happen to good people. Hopefully, you'll get more clarity on this on the 4th day. Okay. A person born in rich religious family, enjoying religious life, dies in sudden flight crash, so that his body is unrecognizable. A person enjoying like a king suddenly goes to beggar state. Is karma. Karma. We have 5 karmendriyas. How many? 5. And every moment we are performing one or the other karma. Even tongue is a karmendriya. We speak something, we perform karma. You insult somebody, you have performed some karma. You have to suffer. Yeah. Simply due to lack of awareness of these laws, we cannot escape. If it's a person crosses red light and then says, I am not aware of this law, will he be pardoned? No, it's a double crime. Why you're not aware? That when there's a red light, you're supposed to stop. Similarly, laws are available in the scriptures. It is our duty to be aware of these laws and avoid violating those laws. So anything happening to me, only I have to take accountability. I can't hold anyone else accountable for this. Okay, one has to take responsibility himself for his own life. We can't get away with that responsibility. How can today's session help us to discover ourselves? Just wait 3 more days. It's just a preparation. Okay. First, let's discover God. We'll discover then ourselves. Maybe day after tomorrow. Then possibly we'll get answered this question. Okay. Vimal Prabhuji is happy with the answer. Why sons of Dhritarashtra suffered due to karma of their father? So they had their own karmas. That's what I'm saying. Karmo gehna gati. हम कर्म की गति को नहीं समझ सकते अपनी इस छोटी सी बुद्धि से, तो उसमें दिमाग नहीं लगाना है. We have to find out how do I perform karma so that there is no reaction. That is art I have to learn. Don't get into understanding the law of karma. You will not be able to understand. Okay, then how to manage mental instability. 5th day I will answer this question. 5th and 6th day. Okay. Any further question? You can raise your hand and ask also through video. And if you get across any question later on after session, please enter that form. I'll answer those questions tomorrow. Okay. Is that okay? I can't see all the faces. Everybody has, most of the people have switched off their videos. Yes, now we have started switching on. Thank you very much. Yes. Khayati Lakhotia ji, aap bhi on kijiye. Yes, I can see you. Very good. Let me at least see your faces once. That much I deserve, isn't it? Who is sitting in my class? Okay. Thank you very much. Nitin Shimali ji, please show your video. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So tomorrow we'll discuss how do we find out who is God. God exists. Now we are sure. How do we find out who is the God? What is the difference between God and demigods? We'll discuss tomorrow. Again, very, very confusing subject, but we'll bring absolute clarity tomorrow. Okay. So tomorrow I'll try to log in half an hour before time so that we don't have the same problem like we had today. Okay. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. Thank you for, still waiting half an hour and still joining, the session. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.